the trim in on the lower half. Still have to infill the walls with shakes. I got the trim around the railing. I've got my hog wire put in. And I've got my little porch built. Got the roof structure. And this is pretty much done in here for what I intend to do with it. And I got a nice view. Welcome back. I have been working on the common rafters, and I got all those in place. And now I have to work on the barge rafters, which are the rafters that go on the end of the structure. So this will be my gable end right here, and it requires a little bit of a different fitting than the common rafters. Now I went ahead and built a couple brackets to hold my walkboard in, because I'm standing on top of this. I'm about 20 feet in the air, and I need something to support this to work on my rafter tails. Now I could have cut my rafter tails to length before I put them up, but these big timbers, they got a slight curve to them. They're rough sawn, and my seats the rafters weren't fitting very well, so I had to kind of custom fit each rafter to the beam right here. So anyway, what that did is it made my rafter tails different lengths, which is an easy fix. I'll just have to chalk a line and cut them all into one straight line. But anyway, I had to get a walkboard so I could actually get out there and do that. Now, before I get on this and cut all those, I'm going to make sure I have a rope system in place, so if I were to fall, I won't fall. And if you look up there, I've got my high directional pulley, and I got a temporary string here that goes through the pulley, and then I'll put my real rope through that, and then that'll be my high directional, so when I'm actually on the walkboard, I'll be safe. If my bracket were to break or I were to fall off, I wouldn't go very far. But anyway, that's the stage of the game I'm at now. And today I hope to go and get these barge rafters in. And once I do that, I'll cut the rafter tails, and then I'll start sheeting all the rafters up there with plywood. All right. I got a 4 12 pitch, so I'm putting number 4 on the common, and it should line up. It gives me a 4 12 pitch angle. Okay, I've got my my barge rafters in. On that end, I had to do a little homemade scaffold system here to be able to get out there, but that's in, and I've got the other one in too. Okay, so my next job is to get out on this walkboard and cut all these rafter tails to length. In order to do that, I've got to make a little jig. And basically I'm going to cut a jig with a 4 and 12 pitch on it. So again, this is my common rafter. I'm on number 4. Here's my pivot point. To match what I already have, I just got to cut that angle. Okay. And the jig doesn't need to be very long. Something like this maybe. And put a little pressure on that. Okay, so my rafter tails are, I'm gonna have to cut it from below. So I need to put this on the side of the rafter and mark it. And I'll just take a piece of wood here. And take a couple nails. Make sure it's centered. Okay. And I don't need that long piece, so I'll just cut it off. Okay, so there's my jig. And this will go on the bottom like that. I'll mark it, and this can also can be my saw guide right here. Now something else I've done is, if you look up, I've got my good rope through my high directional. I've got it tied off here. I've got it going over this right here. And I'll have a harness on with a Petzl ID on it, so if I were to fall off, I can just rappel down. So anyway, that's my next step. Okay, I've got the 2 ends marked. Hopefully you can see that. And I got a nail up there, and I've got to chalk a line across all of the rafter tails. So if you look over there, I've got a mark over there. So I'll okay. All right, so there's my mark. I'll pull it really tight. And hopefully I'll be able to strangle. Yeah, it looks like I got most of them. These rafters are a little bit uneven because the rough sawn beam is uneven. It's got a hump in it, so it's a tree house, doesn't have to be perfect. So anyway, I got it pretty close. And what I'll do next is everywhere I've got a chalk line, I'll scribe a line and I'll cut it. Okay. Alright, so here's my mark. And this will be my jig to cut that. Almost done on this side. I've got the fascia board on here, and I still have to cut it off right here, which is going to be a little bit tricky, but I think I can manage it. And I've got these little blocks down here I'm going to put on the fascia, so when I slide my plywood down, it'll catch and not slide off the roof, and I can make it easier to start that first sheet. Good. Good enough. Okay. That is it. Got the fascia in, stop blocks. My next move on this side of the roof is to put the plywood in, and I can do everything else from top. Alright, I've taken a break from the roof, and I went ahead and wrapped the walls in house wrap. I had some left over from a previous job. So I got that wrapped, and what I'm doing now is trimming out these corners, just like that. Okay, then this guy here will go right here, and in between I'm going to have shakes all through there, and I'm going to be putting a cap on here on top of the railing. So imagine your verticals in place with a cap, and then in between infill will be shakes, just like will be on the roof. So the same shakes that go on the roof will also go on the sides. Now I've also went ahead and finished the railing for the most part. I put, this is basically hog panels right here, and they're I think 34 inches tall. I cut them to length, and I fastened them to the supports, and then went ahead and put a cap on here that goes down the whole length. So anyway, I got one little piece over there to finish, but for the most part the railing's done, and now it's just a matter of trimming out the rest of it, and then once I get the trimming done, I'll go ahead and move back to the roof and finish that. So that's where I'm at.